Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. This is Strange Phenomena and Mysteries. I'm here. We're all here. I'm here with Kai Greenway and Raven McMinn should soon join us. And then we have our guests, Ronnie Renee and Laura Lee, and we're going to bring them in just in a couple minutes. We want to let them get to talk as much as we can.
So I want to say hello to everybody. Hi.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Kai. I got off my game there for a minute.
Yeah, the guests are throwing you off.
Yeah. No,
but they're special for today.
Oh, they are. And, I feel like a groupie. Even though they're my friends, I feel like I'm a groupie. So everybody, I'm going to post their pictures and their bio in the chat room for you. Oh, and we should tell everybody how to get to the chat room. If you go to the 12radio.com homepage, and then on the left-hand side, there's a list of links. Click the one that says chat. It will redirect you to our private chat room. And then Scott will be on the lookout and he can let you right in. So let's see. Now, I'll just introduce them quickly, saying that, as I've told you, I know them each personally. And in fact, I've given toe readings to Laura Lee and her family. And Ronnie was my trainer when I took hospice training for the VA hospital. And Ronnie was my trainer. So that's kind of how we all met. And Ronnie and I would bump into each other at the our local metaphysical club. We would bump into each other there. So I'm just so happy to welcome you two here. So say hello, ladies.
Hello, ladies.
Oh. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, my gosh. I've got to tell you guys that I finished your book last night.
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah. Back up the bus, Nancy. Tell them what everyone what they do for a living, or part of what they do for a living before you jump into the book.
I just assume that everybody knows.
Well, maybe not. So,
Oh, I'm so glad I've got you here to keep me on track. Our special guests today are professional Ghostbusters. They actually go in and clear your house of ghosts. If you want, if they're causing you problems. They've done a lot here with some of the famous mansions in Spokane that are really haunted. And they have a book, and as soon as I can get a second, you guys know I can't chew gum and walk. I'm going to post their bio and the book link. So, do I need to say anything more, Kai?
What's the name of the book?
Oh, thank you. It's called Got Ghosts. And so it's kind of like, got ghosts? Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters. They go by the Ghostbuster gals. So let's see here. I think I can let's see.
If I can add just a couple things.
Sure.
Jump right in.
We are professional. Yeah, we are professional Ghostbusters, but truly what we are spirit rescuers.
Yes.
Because what we found, and a lot of people don't understand what ghosts even are, we found that ghosts are trapped spirits. They're spirits that had a human life here on Earth, and when the physical body died, they got stuck between the worlds. So they didn't get to go what I call home with God, and they got stuck.
Yeah.
And they're trapped, and they're lost, And many times they don't even know that they're dead. That's the weird part about it.
Wow.
So we wrote this book to help people understand what a ghost is, to try to take the fear out of it. And then we included a do-it-yourself ghost-busting guide because there's a lot of ghosts out there. Yeah. And that way people can bust their own ghosts.
Right. I've got a quick question after reading your book, which was great, by the way. It wasn't what I expected. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't that, but it was great.
Thank you.
Why do you think so many of these spirits get trapped here?
Good question. I can share some of it, and Laura Lee can share some.
Okay.
Usually, if someone dies in a very low emotional vibration, such as pain and anger and fear, all the lower vibrations, what happens is the tunnel home opens, because it always opens, but because their vibration is so low, they don't see it. And so they're out of their body, they're scared, they're freaking out, they're angry, they're attached to some low thing, whatever it might be, and they don't see it. And then the tunnel closes and they're stuck. So that's, in general, why people get stuck. And that's why I became a hospice volunteer, really. So to make sure that my patients, when they're crossing to the other side, wouldn't get stuck, because I was there and I was going to help them cross in love.
Oh.
So, Laura Lee, do you have anything to add?
That's true, and that's why in places that have been war-torn, where there is a lot of fear and commotion and chaos, that's why you find an extra amount of them there. And it's interesting, and we have a chapter in our book about this, is that pets can get stuck. There are pet ghosts. Sometimes they are stuck because they just don't want to leave. And they're, like dogs are loyal, and they just kind of stick around. So for those of you that have pets and want to know what happens to them, this book has got a chapter in there, and we're working on another book, and it will have more pet stories in it, and it should be a real fun adventure.
Right. Well, I have to tell you, Laura Lee, I loved some of your terms in there, like where you talked about weird shit, and then when you'd read along, and then pretty soon you'd just see WS, so you'd know, oh, okay, weird shit.
Right.
And I loved your terminology for the ghosts that were really jerks. And you tell them what you called it.
Yes. I can we say this over the air?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't get cut off.
Okay, yes, these really nasty, obnoxious ghosts are ass souls.
I love that. That is so awesome.
Isn't that fabulous?
Isn't that great? Oh, shoot.
And we run into some assholes.
Yes, we run into a lot of assholes in our work.
Yes, I was
bet.
And that's another thing. A lot of people would call these ghosts demons. We've had calls that people, I've got a demon in my house. It's so mean and it's so horrible and it's haunting the place. And it turns out, from all the work we've done in almost 20 years, that these so-called demons are really just assholes. They were mean and rotten and crappy in their physical life, and they keep that same personality when they haunt.
That's right. They don't change.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, gosh. You guys just had so many good stories in that book. But yet there was a lot of education too. There was humor, there were stories, there was education. I just loved it. It's, even if you don't need the do-it-yourself guide, it's just a great read. Now, I think Raven might be with us now.
Yes, finally. Hello.
Hey, Raven.
Hey, Raven.
Glad you're here.
Oh, my
Now,
apologies.
That's okay. I know that, excuse me, there was something that you wanted to share with Laura Lee about the book.
Oh, yes. It was so interesting. I got the book from Coast to Coast, one of your interviews. It was 2011. And I had ordered your book, and you had written me a little note in the front of it. And it was October 15th, which was just last Monday. I thought,
Yeah.
In 2011. I love the book. I just thought it helped so much.
So there's one of your other little synchronicities that you talk about, Laura Lee, that you had written her the note on October 15th. And that's when we all talked, was October 15th. So.
Right, to prepare for the show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 4 days ago. Right. Okay.
Right. So just another little
Synchronicities
synchronistic.
abound.
Yes. Oh, they certainly do. Well,
I wanted
let's
to say
see.
something about the book.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
It is written so that older children can read it.
Yes.
It's for adults, and it can really help if you're living in a place that's really not comfortable. If your children read this, it'll help them to calm down and understand it. And yeah, it's just a book for everybody. So
Right.
I just
Right.
wanted to add
And it
that.
gives a lot of information on how to protect yourself too, so that
Yes.
you don't feed into the fear. Don't feed
Yes.
the fear, because
I
that's what
love
ghosts
that.
love.
Right.
They love to get
Right.
scared, and they love to feed on it. And when you read the book and there's prayers of protection in there, you get to really become empowered yourself, and
Right.
that's what it's all about.
And there's so much in there, we couldn't possibly have it all on one show. You guys know how fast the time goes anyway on one show. So let's see. Kai, did you have any questions before we turn them loose on their stories?
Well, I really wanted to jump right into the stories, and I think maybe the two questions I'd like to ask in that venue is, what was the funniest ghost you came up against, and what was the most frightening ghost you've come up against?
Oh, that's a good one. Nobody's ever asked about funny ghosts.
No. And though we use humor, we use humor all the time, especially in our ghost bustings, because humor is a very high vibration, along with love. I mean, love is the highest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so true.
It's scary. I think, one of my most scariest things that happened in a ghost busting, it wasn't really the ghost that scared me. We were, and this was in Spokane, and we were in the backyard, big backyard, 10-acre backyard of a man that was a professor at the college. And as we were walking to kind of feel the area out, because Lorelei and I both knew there was something going on back there, I heard this woman that hired us, she screamed at me, "Ronnie, stop, turn left, stop." And I'm like, what the heck? So I stopped, and down right by my feet was the biggest frickin' snake I'd ever seen.
Oh my God.
And I was wearing sandals, and it was coming at me. And so every time I would walk in a direction away from the snake, it would follow me. And thank goodness, we were being filmed that day. Somebody wanted to do a show about us, and his wife was there, and she happened to be a herpetologist.
Oh, that was
wow.
convenient.
Yeah, synchronistic.
Synchronicity, yeah.
Yes. Thank goodness. And she said, "Oh, Ronnie, this snake is not poisonous. it's not going to hurt you. And she took a little stick and she tried to move the snake away, and that snake was having none of it. It was just focused, laser focused on me, and no matter where I would walk, that snake would come at me. And I was, again, I was wearing sandals. You just don't
Oh no.
know. So, I kind of tuned in, and I discovered that there was a Native American shaman who had stayed behind as a ghost on purpose to protect the land, and he was controlling the snake. So the minute I clued in on him, the snake stopped and just left, and then we were able to do our work. So that
Wow.
really scared the bejeebies out of me. Otherwise, we usually don't get too scared.
Right.
But this thing was just insistent on following you. How scary. I mean, that's just
It was.
unnerving.
It was, and it was big. It was a big freaking snake.
Laura Lee, what was the one you were the most scared on?
Okay, well, this one, and Ronnie's going to laugh when I tell this story. This happened a few years ago, and there was something wrong with me. All of a sudden, I started craving milk and milk products. And I'm like a vegetarian and almost a vegan now, right? So this was very strange for me. And I had to have cream on things and ice cream. I had to make sure my refrigerator was stocked with ice cream, like at least 3 in there all the time. I didn't want to run out. Butter, I couldn't get enough butter, and I'm just like, and I started gaining weight bad, and my heart started going into arrhythmia, and I'm like, okay,
Oh no.
there's something that's not right about this. This behavior is way too weird, because I was like obsessed with making sure that I had enough all the time, and so I sat with it, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And I went and scanned, and I found a shove-in. Now, a shove-in is not like a walk-in where there's a mutual agreement, and it talks about this in our book. But a shove-in is something that, without your notice, just wham, it's in. But this was different. It was a digital shove-in, and we've been finding a lot of those. They're like electronic.
Oh my God.
But it wasn't a human. It was,
Oh my
get this,
God.
a baby cow. Okay? It was a baby cow that was constantly hungry for milk and cream and butter, and I was, I'm not kidding, I gained about 7 pounds. And so,
Oh my
I'm
God.
like, okay, well, I got to get rid of this. So I did my digital shove-in removal, and within, and this has to do with ETs and all sorts of weird stuff, and that's like another show. Okay. But as soon as I was done, it was like a light switch turned on, and I didn't give a rip about milk and cream and cheese and ice cream especially. And so I just went over to my fridge and gathered it all up and took it over to the neighbors because they have lots of children, and this was like good organic ice cream, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I haven't had that craving since.
Wow.
So
she was possessed. She was so possessed by this.
I was
digital.
possessed by a digital cow, a baby cow.
And
Where do you
Yeah,
suppose
this is
you got it
so
from?
funny how it affected her, because she came over to my house once, which was it's like a half-hour wait, and she brought ice cream, and I'm thinking, what the heck?
I forgot about that. Well, then the story gets better.
Oh
okay.
yeah, and then
So
we
you
had
tell
done
the
this
rest of it,
radio.
Ronnie.
Yeah, we had done this radio show, and somehow an EVP got picked up, and the host of the show sent it to us, and we were trying to figure out what the heck this EVP said in the middle of our show, and so I heard killed me, and when I asked Laura, what did you hear? And she said, well, I hear yogurt.
Gosh.
And that was when I was still possessed by the baby child.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my
Now,
God.
now, do you think
It was
that
so
was
funny
out to
because to
harm
me-
you? Do you think that was out
Say
to
what?
harm you by
Wait,
that
yeah, it was
craving
trying to
that
kill me
caused
through
arrhythmia?
ice cream. It was like death by ice cream.
You were having heart.
Because it was affecting her heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It could have been serious. If I didn't know what to do and if I didn't know what it was, I could have died. But since I do and everything's all good.
So
But-
where do you
but
think
the
you
thing is with,
picked this thing up? Where was one get attached like that? Is it like at the grocery
well,
stores?
I
Can it
go
happen to
in-
anybody?
Yeah. We've seen it. We're seeing it a lot more now that there's a lot of AI, artificial intelligence stuff happening.
That
and
stuff
there's-
terrifies me. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
We're just seeing a lot more of it, and I don't think people are talking about it. I haven't heard anybody talk about digital shut-ins, but they're real,
They
and
are.
and we know how to work with them. And it's funny when I was listening to that EVP, there was no doubt in my mind that it said yogurt. And when Ronnie said, "Kill me," I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Clearly
Those are two
yogurt.
extremes.
I don't know how you got kill me out of yogurt.
Well, maybe it was sending different messages to the two of you because
Well,
since
of
it's
course,
and she
digital.
was just possessed.
I was possessed.
She was.
I was absolutely possessed.
So just a word about shove-ins, so people can understand. What happens if a person is in a compromised position? Let's say they're in a car accident, they hit their head, they're falling down drunk, they're having an operation, just in a weakened position. Sometimes it allows opportunistic ghosts to literally shove in to that person. And then what happens is the personality changes. So the Catholic Church would call it possession. We try to keep the stigma of religion out of everything that we do. And Laura Lee termed it shove-in, which totally makes sense. And we've had many a client who have come to us with issues that are going on, and their whole personalities have changed, and then we do the shove-in removal, and they have their life back again. So
and it's instant. They change instantly. I changed instantly. As soon as I was done, I went and cleaned out my fridge.
Right.
And
No
I
more
didn't care.
desire. No more desire.
Exactly. Something I was so obsessed about 20 minutes before, I didn't give a rip. I was like, okay, let's get rid of this. I don't care.
so
Right.
it's real.
And it's
there's
fast.
some-
It's
I
Go
believe
ahead.
you.
go ahead.
All right. No. Finish your thought because I have something that someone in the chat room
Okay, no, go
said
ahead.
that I
was-
want you
it's
to
just that
approach.
It's real and it's instant, and you can feel a difference, and you can see a difference for those around, like family members and stuff. You go, whoa, this person they're back to their own self again.
Right.
So that's how you can tell it works.
Right. Instantaneously.
Right.
Right. Okay, we have someone in the chat room, Annika, who's saying that she feels there's a presence of a young Native American female in our house. Something in my bedroom is making me very sick. I don't feel threatened by this spirit, but very draining. Don't know if the presence in this. Oh, she posted a picture. Okay.
And I just forwarded it to Laura Lee and Ronnie on
Okay.
Messenger. Okay.
All right. So my follow-up is even if you have a friendly spirit in your home, does it drain someone's energy?
You got it, Kai. That's the whole point. There is no such thing as a good ghost. I don't care if it's grandma, okay? There's no such thing as a good ghost. And the reason is just what you said. The electromagnetic field of souls that are trapped on the other side is not compatible to ours. And so not only does it drain your energy, it weakens the immune system. And it's also not good for the ghost because remember, if they're stuck and they're lost and they don't even know they're dead, they're not in the place they need to be. They don't evolve when they're ghosts. They're just trapped in that place. So in order to help them, it's important to release them and send them back where they belong so they can continue the soul's journey. And with Native Americans, we've had to develop different protocols in order to get them to go home. Because if we have just a regular old ghost, it's not that hard to get them to go home. It's easy stuff. But with Native Americans, we have to use whatever it is they recognize. Like the first time we did a Native American clearing was here in Spokane, and the whole neighborhood was sick. But it was only the males in the neighborhood. All the males were sick. And this one client called us, her little boy, he had asthma from birth. I mean, he was a sickly, sickly child. And after we cleared some other ghosts we found in the backyard, that there were some Native Americans that had put a curse on the white men of the area. And it was, again, the men, down the block, the man had a heart attack. Down the block, the man had diabetes really bad. I mean, it went on and on and on with the sickness. And so, what we do to help ghosts return home is we open up a portal. And normally, we use the aid of Yeshua, which most people call Jesus, but we call him Yeshua because his mother did. And we use maybe Archangel Michael. And, with Native Americans, that was not working. So with this particular time, we actually created a portal that looked like a teepee. I mean, it was just different. We kind of create on our feet as we go. But
That's a brilliant idea.
White Buffalo Catwoman came down to help take those souls back to where they belong. So with each ghost, you have to really get inside who they are and why they're stuck, and then create and help to form something that they trust. Now, sometimes it's a dog that comes back and gets them, and sometimes it's their mother. But that's what we do. We think on our feet, and we connect in, and then we find a way to help that person. Because for me, as Angel Girl, I don't ever force anybody to go anywhere. I have to find a way to help them go on their own so that they want to cross. And most of the ghosts are really afraid. And so when you bring down that portal, somebody or something that they know and love, it makes all the difference in the world. And so far, knock on wood, after almost 20 years, we've been successful crossing every ghost that we've worked with.
Awesome. Bravo.
Wow.
Well done.
Now, Laura Lee, I see that you've seen the picture. And Annika says again, I have asked this spirit to leave me. She feels very sad, and I strongly feel she was raped and killed. And, she's wanting to know if you see anything in that picture.
Okay, I'm trying to...
And it's in your Facebook Messenger.
Right. Now, the thing is, first, you can tell them to leave. Where are they going to go? They don't know where to go.
Yeah.
It's really sad. You say, well, get out of my house. And they're like, well, that could have been her house before that house was built.
Right.
So actually, she is invading in this young Native American woman's life. And so to just tell it to go away, that's not very compassionate at all. And so I would advise her to get our book and see if she can help this woman across. And if she can't, then give us a call and we'll help her.
Okay.
That's another mistaken thing. People think they can just sage and do some smudging and get the ghosts out of their house. Well, no, the ghosts might go outside for a while till the smell goes away and the frequency of the sage goes away, but they come right back. So
because it's their house,
Right.
And they don't know any better. They don't know where to go. They don't know how to go home, because if they did, they wouldn't be stuck. So
Right.
that is why we wrote the book, to help them.
Right. Now, everybody, I've got the links for the book. It can you can get it, I believe, on your website. Is that right? On ghostbustergals.com?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
a link on Amazon, and it's on Kindle for those of you who like Kindle. One of the things I wanted to ask you, one thing that struck me in the book was how seldom it was just one ghost. And my gosh, that that one story you told about where there were like 100 of them lined up to go through the portal, and so maybe you could talk about that a little bit.
The basement of Glover Mansion. Oh my goodness gracious! And then the other place was the Amargosa Hotel and Opera House. There were hundreds of ghosts stuck in this area because of it was like 1918 or something, and the flu had come and just killed so many people. And then like energy attracts like energy. So
that's what I was going to ask.
The area just kind of comes. Yeah, they just kind of get sucked in. And with the hospital, it's the same thing. There's a hospital right near Glover Mansion. Hospitals have a lot of ghosts, but so did Glover Mansion. And then the hospital ghosts just went right to that basement. And that basement was so dreaded in Glover Mansion, nobody wanted to go into that basement. It was that bad. And when I was there, I could feel those ghosts. And as I went down there, I was able to open up a portal, but nobody wanted to go. They were so scared. A lot of these ghosts are scared. They don't know what's going on. But once one of the ghosts, it was a man, and he was holding a child, just so sweet. Once he stepped in, everybody just zipped and followed him, and we were able to clear like hundreds of ghosts at one time. And the same thing at the Amargosa. That's a long, wonderful, fabulous story, because we ran into so many different kinds of ghosts in the Amargosa. So I just suggest people get the book and read that story.
Right.
It was amazing. The other thing I wanted to just mention real quick, we use these little rocks when we do our ghost busting. These rocks are not from this planet. They're tektite, so they don't come from here. And Laura Lee has the only source of these rocks, and I'll let her talk a little bit about that. But what we found is when we do ghost busting with these rocks, it's so much faster. We're not walking through Jell-O like we used to. It's like, oh my God, it's pulling teeth to try to get information. But now we have our clients set up a grid with these almoricite rocks, and it stabilizes the energy so that we can work. And what we're going to do for your listeners is anyone who purchases a book that has heard this show and purchase it through our website, because we can't do it through Amazon, we will include a free set of these little grid rocks. They're teeny tiny rocks, but once you put them together, one in each corner and then one in the middle, and set intentions, it is so powerful. And that's how we get homes to sell too. We help people with real estate.
Awesome.
We help them sell their home. We get the grid set up, and then the house sells. So it's really cool. But Laura Lee, you want to talk a little bit about the rocks?
Yeah, these rocks, we call them the Stone of Truth and Justice. And they've saved my life. Like, that sounds funny, but no, they have. And for those of you who are intuitive enough, you can talk to them and they'll talk back. They're really smart rocks. And the cool thing about them is if somebody mean gets them, because I was really worried when I first got these rocks, I was worried that they would fall into the wrong hands
Mm-hmm.
and somebody could use it because they are extremely powerful. And I thought, oh, this could be bad news. And
Right.
they said, don't worry, we'll just shut off. We don't do that stuff. We'll just turn off. So
Cool.
don't worry. So
Got to fail safe.
that is like amazing, and they have their own ground. There's stories on the website about how we had done some different experiments with them and with different kinds of electronic gadgets. And when we ran sound pulses through it, it didn't give any reading. When we ran magnetic pulses, which you would think it would because it's got so much iron in it, you would think it would pick up
Mm-hmm.
like nails, paper clips. It doesn't. It's
Hmm.
just this rare form of space rock that was actually sent here to help us. It's like one of our buddies. It's part of the cosmic cleanup crew is what I call it.
Right. So is this something kind of like moldavite? Or-
It's kind of like that, only it's sparkly, and it is not from. I believe it's not even from this universe.
Wow.
And it has a different frequency and energy.
It's totally
than
different.
moldavite,
Now,
yeah.
the thing that's funny is I knew intuitively that it had its own ground. And this guy that was doing this testing on it, he ran light pulses through it. And I said, why don't you take the grounding wire off? And he looks at me like, are you dumb? And so first he says, okay, let me check on my equipment first. So he does that. And then he takes the grounding wire off, and then the meters start showing pulses.
Wow.
And so he's like, he looked at me and he says, where does it get its ground? And I said, I told you it wasn't from here. I don't know. It's somewhere out there that it gets its ground, from its house, from its home, wherever it's from. That's where it's grounded to. So, and since these are the stone of truth and justice, and Ronnie and I did almost a whole show on this, all of the crazy things that have happened, especially with this Ghost book, trying to get it to not sell, trying to get people distracted and, go do something else. Don't buy the book. It's like...
because there's so much light coming from the book and so many tools and so much information.
Exactly.
They don't want it out there.
And it has, that no other ghost book has, it has information about the rocks, and it has information about the cryogenetics egg, which is the spiritual aspect of the rocks that anybody can use. Even if you don't have any rocks, you can use the egg.
Uh-huh.
And the egg we've used to quarantine ghosts. We didn't know it could do that until we did the Amargosa Hotel. And we had this nasty ghost, and I thought, what are we going to do with him? So I just intuitively threw a cryogenetics egg around him, so he was encased, and he was quarantined in that, and he was ticked off. He had never, ever in his life or his afterlife been, confined. And he just, he was upset. And so that was and you'll have to read the story, okay? Read the book.
Yeah,
it's in the book, so read the rest.
Incredible.
And so we started using the egg more and more and more and more, and understanding it, and the egg's been upgrading, and it's phenomenal, and it's free, and the assholes running this planet do not want people to be free and not afraid. And
that
this
is true.
book does it. So therefore, what they've been trying to do is boycott our book and squelch it. And we just realized why it had been squelched for the last 10 years. The book's been out for 10 years, and we should be selling hundreds of thousands. We don't.
And thank you, Raven, for breaking through that mess and buying the book on Coast to Coast, because we've been on Coast to Coast for 5 years, and we should have been selling hundreds and hundreds of books.
I imagine that you would.
Special people.
Huh?
Yeah.
That surprises
because
me.
It's good.
It is good.
Well, it surprised us too, and we've been trying for 10 years to figure out what is the problem, and we'd take, we'd clean it off, and it's like comes right back, and then we realized what it was. We've had a lot of people in the professional field work with us to promote the book, and it doesn't matter. We spent thousands of dollars promoting the book, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars promoting the book, and it doesn't matter. And so Ronnie and I finally said, well, it doesn't matter if we spend a lot of time and money and energy promoting it or not, we'll get the same result, which is nothing. And we got together with this promoter and realized between the three of us what our book has that nobody else's does, and it's the egg and the rocks. Besides, it's really funny. I mean, it is a really good book, and
yes,
but that's why.
So I think special people like you, Raven, were able to break through that. That
it's been my go-to
that
book ever since I got it, and I have used that book for friends and family that have had hauntings and so on and so forth. They always call me, and I've used your book literally to kind of save face in those situations because I didn't know what to do and I was scared out of my mind. So I had your book in hand to everyone I went to. I'm not kidding.
I love that. And I've heard that story from other people that say they keep it by their bedside. It's their go-to. It makes them feel safe. It helps them with things.
Just explaining these things. Knowledge is power, and you become empowered when you can learn to identify what you're experiencing or seeing or feeling or whatever, especially for empaths. It's perfect for empaths.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I'm an empath too. So
Yeah.
And
it can be really overwhelming and frightening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and so
let's
Laura
see.
Lee wrote a book. I was just going to say real quick so people
Sure.
kind of understand what the cryogenetics egg is. Laura Lee wrote a book called Cryogenetics: The Simple Secrets of Human Alchemy. Fabulous book. It's also funny, and it's good. So this egg is on the cover of the book. It's also in the ghost book. It also is free on any one of her websites that people can look at and see. But it's a sacred geometry thing that she channeled through, and it turns out to be the spirit of the rock itself. And that's why these tools are so valuable.
That is so cool. Well, they say
Nobody
rocks have
else has them.
rocks have consciousness, so an ET rock would have intelligence and consciousness. Wow.
Exactly.
That is so cool.
Yeah,
Nancy,
Laura
you wanted
Lee?
to say something.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt. We've got one of the listeners, and she says that she's ready to order the book. Where should she put that she heard about them on the show to take advantage of the offer?
Good question.
Well, there should be a place on the order form that says leave a note.
Okay.
If for some reason, I think people that do through PayPal, that doesn't come up for some reason, I'll have to check into that. Just drop us a note and say, hey, I just ordered the book. Please send me the rocks.
Okay.
Yeah,
There you go,
just
Jan.
An email. There
Okay.
you go. And we'll make
Okay.
sure you get them. And you'll
Okay.
love them.
You'll love them, and they'll love you.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure. Oh, gosh. I'm trying to think of what else. Oh, I know. If you guys could explain, I know you did in the book, why just using sage or those types of things don't
Holy
work.
water.
You need to, because a lot of us sage everything and think, well, geez,
Right,
they
right.
should
Can
take
I
care
start
of
this,
it.
Ronnie, and you can finish?
Yeah.
Right. Saging is really good to clean energetic stuff and up your vibration. But when the smoke is gone, if you've got a ghost that went next door to the neighbor's house, as soon as the smoke is gone, it's going to come back.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
Ronnie, is there
I've
something
heard
you
of
want
that.
to add?
No, I mean, yeah, sage. I mean, I smudge all the time. Before I do a reading for someone, I smudge my room, I smudge my crystals, because it's a cleansing tool to clear the energy of whatever crystals or whatever the room might have picked up if somebody was in it. And I smudge myself because you never know. But it doesn't get rid of ghosts. Same thing with holy water. This house that I was talking about in Spokane that had the curse on the white man, she tried everything. She had a priest come and do holy water, and yeah, things quieted down for a little bit, but after the water evaporated, for a while, the ghost just came on back. So the key thing, and I want to make sure people know this, the key thing with smudging, as with anything, is your intention. People also think, oh, I could go around just use smudge here and there, and they have no intention to cleanse and clear or to get rid of anything, any negativity or darkness. They don't put that intention out there, and then that weakens the smudge. So remember, whenever you're doing something spiritual or cleansing and clearing something, put your intention into it, and that will make it work better. But just intending that a ghost go home is not enough, because that is a sentient being with free will, and they don't know how to go home. They just don't know because the tunnel is not there for them. So that's kind of the key when working with human ghosts. When you work with ET stuff, that's a whole other story, and that falls under the category of weird shit.
No, the
Laura Lee is the queen of weird shit.
Me too.
So I always send that joke. I love that.
Yes.
I love that.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to mention Lynn. She has addressed a lot of the things. I think you just came in late to the show, and she's addressed some of the things you said about moving the energy. And Laura Lee and Ronnie, she says that they do have some ghosts. They moved into a house with a stairway in the middle. They burn sage and pray all the time to get rid of them. Her daughter has an energy that stands at the end of her bed. So she says, so yes, we have ghosts. Like, got ghosts. Yeah, they do.
That's how you can tell if the energy doesn't change. It's ghosts, or they come right back. And so smudge isn't going to work.
Right.
And the book will give you step-by-step information on how to clear it. And then if people, after they've bought the book, if they still have problems, they can contact us. Now, if we can help them with something simple, we do that. If they want to hire us, it costs money. So it's a lot cheaper to buy the book and do it yourself.
And it has a
But we get
step-by-step
results.
guide. It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's not, and it doesn't call for
We
weird
get
ingredients or anything. It's very straightforward, down to earth. Anybody, it's simple but powerful.
Exactly.
What you do in here.
Absolutely.
Simple but powerful.
And I love in there those prayers of protection.
Oh yeah.
That you had. They just, some of those, not just for when you're going to go through this, but just as an overall prayer of protection. I thought it was great.
I did too.
Oh, I use it
too.
every night. Every single night before I go to sleep, I do my prayers. I do gratitude prayers, and I do my prayers of protection, and I surround myself with that cryogenetics egg. Here's the other cool thing about the cryogenetics egg. When you imagine yourself inside of it, it feels good for one. It feels safe. But I talk to it. I say, turn on, and it pulls all the negative debris that I might have picked up during the day, all the emotional stuff that might have come at me. It pulls it off me. I could physically feel it happening.
Wow.
And it
Wow.
neutralizes on the shell itself. So every
they're amazing.
night.
I want to say something about the rocks and the egg. Ronnie and I egg, and we've got our houses gridded, and we egg every night. I do the same thing. I go through this whole ritual where I egg everybody, all my animals and everything. Now, just because you've egged and you've got your grid set up doesn't mean that nothing will ever happen, like no accidents, no like our animals die sometimes. They get old and they die. So it doesn't stop that, but what it does stop is all of the extracurricular riffraff that comes in and tries to mess you over. And like I tell the first wave indigos that I work with, it's like, if something gets through the grid, and if something gets through your egg, it's because it let it in because you need to learn something. If it kept everything out all the time, you wouldn't be aware and smart and cognizant of the universe and what's going on around. So it picks and chooses which things you need to learn about and lets that in, but keeps everything else away.
It's so true. When we were working on the cryogenetics, but Laura Lee rewrote it, and of course I'm her editor. So we were working on it, and we were doing some heavy-duty stuff, and we were getting psychic attack night after night after night. I mean, we were getting nailed, no matter what protocol. And we came up with some new protocols, and that was the whole purpose. It's like, okay, so we need to do something new, something different. And we came up with those new protocols, and then we were able to put it in the book to help people that are under psychic attack what to do. What do you do when you know something is just attacking you?
Yeah.
So that cryogenetics book is very, very powerful.
Exactly, and that what you said is exactly right. We got a lot of the information by being hit ourselves and figuring out a game plan on how to deal with that to put in the book, and had the eggs just protected us from everything, and and
you didn't have to wear a tinfoil hat.
That's right. We wouldn't have gotten this stuff. And after the book was put out, a lot of our psychic attack went away. It's like, okay, well, the book's out now. I guess the only thing we can do is try to stop it from selling. So that's that's what the assholes were thinking. But it is selling a little better than the ghost book. But it's a targeted group. It's more the ghost book is for everybody, everywhere, no matter who you are or what religion you are or whatever. The cryogenetics is a little more a target for the people on the cosmic cleanup crew.
Yeah.
So, and you can read about that in the book too. So, anyway, I just thought I'd add that about the egg so people understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
Great.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
The other thing, I don't know why I'm thinking about this, but something that people might want to understand too is that ghosts a lot of times will look like what they look like when they died. So let me give a quick example. I have a client in North Dakota, and her brother, when he was 12, killed himself. And she asked me to look into it. And I knew that he was stuck. I could just feel it. But when I found him, he didn't look so good. I mean, I looked at him and went, oh, my God, because the top of his head was blown off.
Oh, dear.
And he said, yeah. And I said, what happened? She says, oh, he used a rifle and shot his head off. It's like, okay,
oh, no.
That's why he looks like that. But the cool part is, when I was able to help him cross, as he started down the tunnel, he shifted. And he then shifted to what he looked like before he died. And we've had incidents like that a lot. Like the ghost at the Amargosa, the one that Laura Lee quarantined. People thought he was a demon. He was so controlling, and he was so atrocious, and he was so negative, and he was so angry, and he had control over everything and screaming and raging. And then when I tuned into him and found his story of what made him like that, and this is interesting to think about, what makes somebody that horrible. Well, when he was 10, his mother died. His father was an asshole, beat him, was drunk, treated him like a dog. I mean, it goes on and on how bad it was.
Oh.
And so he just became this ruined person, this angry, ruined person that had been tortured and just treated so poorly. And he became that. So when we brought him home, because nothing would work for him, he didn't care about Jesus. He didn't care about Archangel Michael. He didn't care about any of that. Okay. So I brought his mother, down the tunnel. And when he saw her, he stopped frothing at the mouth, and it was spectacular. He ran into her arms, and he became a little boy again, that 10-year-old boy.
Aww.
The features, right in front of our eyes, just started softening, and he changed to that little boy, and she took him home. So ghosts are fascinating things, you know?
Yeah.
We're always learning something new.
Yes, always learning something new.
And they're just people. That's what struck me about it.
They are.
They're just
They're
people that are
people.
stuck and need help most of the time. Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I don't like the ghost hunters that go in with the guns blazing and they do the whole confrontational type of ghost busting and stuff. It just really disturbs me. I
And then
can't
they
watch
don't
those.
help 'em.
Yeah, and then they just
don't watch
leave. They
them
pack
either.
up and go
Leave 'em
home.
there. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. It bothers me deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah,
too.
because they have no understanding. They have like a surface 3D understanding of what a ghost is. Oh, it's a ghost. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah,
But they
something to
have
exploit.
no clue that it's a hurt soul that's lost and trapped.
Right. Or they don't care.
Yeah,
One of the
we
two.
agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't care. I try not
Right.
to go there, but yeah, you're right. I'm the happy person. Pollyanna.
But that's great. You girls have successfully crossed over every ghost you've come across. Kudos to you. Thank you so much for the good work that you're doing. We've already passed our 3-minute mark, and I wanted to get in a thank you to both of you for joining us today. You've just been an
Yes,
honored
thank you.
guest, and
Oh.
we would love to have you back sometime because I know you've got more stories to tell
Do
us.
it.
And we've
Thank
got
you
more
for the work that
questions.
you do.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody's just getting started with their questions. So
I know.
hopefully you guys will come back.
We will. We will.
Good.
That's
Good,
a promise.
good. Okay.
Yes, please do.
Remember everybody, their show or their website, ghostbustergals.com.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, thank you again, Ronnie Renee and Laura Lee Mystica.
You're welcome.
Yes, it was great.
And thanks everybody in the chat room. You've been,
Absolutely.
Thank you.
you've been listening to Strange Phenomena and Mystery Show, and we'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.